Hello everyone, and welcome to this Hearts of Iron 4 Let's Play of Thousand Week Reich. And today I will be playing as the Portuguese Republic. Introduction to Portugal. The German Reich may hold tight to continental Europe. Portugal continues its existence isolated from most German influence. The Second World War barely affected the nation of Portugal as it was spared from both an Allied or Axis invasion. While the nation of Portugal remained neutral during the conflict, it did support the Allied powers through trade and leasing the islands of the Azores. Their support helped American fighters and bombers fight alongside the Commonwealth in Europe and kept the British Empire from completely falling apart. The years after the Second World War have been quite stable. Under António Salazar, the dictator of the Portuguese Republic, Portugal has experienced an economic revitalization, even if Portugal remains one of the least wealthy nations in Europe. Salazar's nationalist economics shielded the young Portuguese industry from ruthless foreign competition, allowing it to slowly grow over time. Economic progress has gone hand in hand with reforming the education system, as a large portion of the population still is illiterate. The main issue Portugal faces today, however, isn't one of economics or even colonial in nature, even if the colonies are coming apart at the seams, but diplomatic. The Cold War between the liberal Titan and the Nazi beast have started to divide Iberia, as Spain slowly drifts in the Axis sphere of influence while Portugal stood loyal to the Allied cause. This division should be addressed in the near future if Iberia wants to continue being one of the most stable regions in Europe currently. A união faz a força. Okay. So, António de Oliveira Salazar is the Prime Minister, and the President is Francisco Craveiro Lopes. Alright, let's set up our army. I'll put General Francisco Jacosta Gomes and his army in the Lisbon region. I'm going to take these troops in Porto. I'm going to put Calusa de Arriaga commanding this army in the north. And I'm going to take these guys. I'm going to put Silveiro Marques in charge of these guys in the center of the country, or in the east of the country, in the Guarda region, and finally, let's get to the Beja region. I'm going to put these guys here. And we'll put Luis Jacosta Ivens Ferraz in charge of these soldiers. But let's look at some of the other armies. So, I'm going to take these guys in the Azores. I'll put Vasco Gonçalves in charge of this army. But let's look at, okay, so I think I'm gonna think I'm gonna put these soldiers in Angola as part of Army 5 under General Gonçalves. And, you know, I think I should probably redraw this. I have an idea. So I'll put Gomez's army in these two regions. You know what? No, I got a better idea. There we go. There we go. I'll put Giarriaga's garrisoning the Porto and Guarda regions. And I'll have Marquez's army guarding the Beja region. But, let me just redraw these boards. Let me just reassign some of these soldiers.
Sim, senhor. Quais são as ordens?
I'll also have.
Quais são as ordens? Pronto.
I'll put him in charge of the Azores and Madeira as well. That would be events for us. So, and then I'm going to have.
Sim, senhor.
I'll have General Gonçalves in charge of all the African troops. Yeah, I'll just have all the colonial troops under his command as well. Do I have any field marshals? I have Antonio G. Spinola. I'll just...
Pronto para avançar.
So, let me take care of my garrisons in
Pronto para avançar.
Goa and Macau. Let's put them all under G. Spinola.
Sim, senhor.
Alright, let's look at the focus tree. So, what is my goal with this Let's Play? It is to turn Portugal from a despotic country into a democratic country. But for that, I need to get Humberto da Silva Delgado as... Well, what I need to do is I need to get Humberto da Silva Delgado as President of Portugal. But I think I'll go with this focus. The Colonial Status Report of 1952. Just research wartime rifle. That's something one. I'll do helicopter engines. Okay. I'll recruit some G Infanteria, some Forza G Mecánica. Yeah, that sounds good. I'll build some. I'll deal with this later. I don't really need any new soldiers right now, but I'll just build some factories. I'll build some. Yeah, I'm ready to play. I'll just build some military and civilian factories in the mainland. There we go. Build some convoys. Build some rifles. Medium tank, mechanized infantry equipment. I'll just build a medium tank. I'll build some motorized as well. Right. What am I missing? Okay, I need some more steel. I'll trade with the United States. Or I could trade with Portugal's longest and traditional... Basically, I could trade with Portugal's longest and most traditional ally, the UK. I'll do that instead. The UK will give me steel. Okay, I'm good with that.
Sim, senhor. Corre mais alto que o vento, voando pra nossa mãe.
Okay. Pause this for a second. What should I do now?
Só quero ter por batalha a bandeira nacional e na campa de...
I think I'll do this focus next. God, Homeland, Family. Let me just save first.
Soldados da nossa terra são voluntários da guerra que vêm bater-se por brio. Taça de fogo e de glória que escreveu a nossa história dos mundos que descobriu. Por isso a paz.
Okay, let's read this. The colonial status of 1952, it's no secret to anyone working under Salazar that things are bad in Portuguese Africa. All available evidence indicates that they're about to get worse. The stunning defeats... Okay, get out of here. The stunning defeats of the United Kingdom and the USSR threw the established global order into disarray. The colonial empires of old are crumbling like sugar and coffee. Our grip on our overseas territories was never firm in the best of times, but independence movements are quickly gaining traction there. Portuguese rule is deeply unpopular in the African colonies, where most Africans lack citizenship and towns are segregated along ethnic lines. A lack of opportunity has driven numerous natives into the arms of dangerous radicals like the Cabral brothers in Guinea-Bissau and Samar Machel in Mozambique. The worst of the instability is in Angola, where our colonial forces have gotten embroiled in what's rapidly become a low-level civil war. Native guerrillas have gotten increasingly bold with their terrorist attacks. Operating from bases in the lawless wilderness of the Belgian Congo, the United People of Northern Angola, UPNA, under Olden Roberto, has launched numerous raids on Portuguese settlements. The Angolan Communist Party, ACP, is likewise growing in strength despite having been declared illegal, resulting in incidents of violence directed at state actors in near Luena and Luau. The economic opportunities currently available to Angolans and other Africans are meager. The poor living conditions are directly feeding into their growing desire for independence and self-determination. The Prime Minister is insistent that our colonial subjects can be civilized and perhaps integrated one day if preventive measures are taken. More troops will be stationed in Africa to dissuade the rebellion, but this is at best a temporary solution. The trials ahead will put Portugal's policy of pluricontinentalism to the ultimate test, to Angola quickly and with strength. Okay, the colonies in the east. Our empire once spanned the entire globe. Portuguese men of the most upstanding character could be found in the furthest corners of the earth. There wasn't a single locale that was beyond the reach of our merchant fleets, or the Armada Portuguesa. It seems like we had all the spice and riches in the world for a time, but now it's just another memory. We became complacent, decadent. One by one, our Indian and Chinese ports passed into the hands of spry younger competitors. Goa, Macau, East Timor, and a few smaller Indian ports are all that remain of our Asian holdings. There is nothing else besides it. What we still have may be more fleeting than the Prime Minister would like to admit. With independence movements taking hold across Africa and Asia, the nationalist fervor is already taking root in our overseas ports. While the people of Goa are largely content with their rule, there's a real possibility that one of the Indian states will be emboldened by their newfound independence to reclaim the city. More worrying is how the Chinese government has worked tirelessly over the years to reunite the region under the Kuomintang's banner. It's no secret that many in China would like to see Macau and the other treaty ports reunited with the mainland. So the popular support for an invasion already exists. The Prime Minister's cabinet is keenly aware that Portugal would be severely outgunned and outmanned in a confrontation with China should violence break out. While the situation isn't as precarious as that of our African colonies, the future of Portuguese Asia is tense and uncertain. We shouldn't deceive ourselves. We are not the great power we used to be. Portuguese clippers loaded down with tea leaf and spice have sailed the Indian Ocean for centuries. Even today, these trade routes are a much-needed source of revenue for our ailing economy. Will that, too, be yet another memory? The spice must flow. Okay, we gained some political power. Oh, what can I do? I guess I'll go with the tank designer. Yeah, I saved the game. Okay, let's go with this focus. Wait, yeah, I already saved. Okay, So Portugal's neighbor of Spain is currently at war with Morocco. Or should I say, the Kingdom of Morocco, which is revolting against Spain. And war has just broken out in Algeria against the French state. Let's continue. Now, another ultimate goal of mine playing as Portugal is to join the Toronto Accord, led by the United States of America. So, let me just see something here. What I have to do is get a coup against Salazar, but I'm not 100% sure how to do that. I'll figure a way out. I'll figure a way to do that, though. I'll figure it out. And it looks like there's been a revolution in Norway. And Norway is back under democratic rule and under the monarchy. So the Germans have been kicked out of Norway. Okay. Salazar addresses the cabinet. Recently, Portugal has enjoyed a period of relative stability and welfare under Salazar's regime. The end of the Second World War brought peace to a broken continent, and the world trade regained momentum once more. Portugal's economy has become akin to an autarky in the hands of the new state. This global economic impulse even reached Portugal, introducing new modern consumer products such as television and refrigerators. The industry of Portugal has also seen general improvement under Salazar's protectionist and nationalist economic policies, and has been allowed to grow without the pressure of foreign competition completely squashing the little Portuguese market. However, not everything is great in Portugal. Illiteracy is still rather high for a European nation, only being surpassed by the German Reichskommissariaten and its native populations, which is not something we can be proud of. Another issue is the increasingly unstable situation in Angola and the other African colonies. African nationalism has become a major trend across the continent, represented in the conflicts Spain and Belgium have found themselves in, and Angola is not different in that case. All of these issues eventually regard the liberalization reforms, which Portugal has been following since the late 1940s. There are both proponents and opponents, and Salazar has an interest in solving this divide as soon as possible. So there's two options. The press shall remain free, and we've been using this facade for way too long. So which one will lead to Delgado taking over? Let me just save right here. So I think I might have to crack down, and that would inspire Delgado to coup me, maybe? Okay, so I'll go with this one. I'll go with back down on liberal reforms, and maybe if I crack down hard, that'll inspire Delgado to coup me. Or to coup the Portuguese government, I should say. Well, let's continue, and let's see what happens. Okay, it looks like India took over Bangladesh. Interesting. Will they take over Goa? That remains to be seen.
Todas as noites peixe com voz linda maviosa e render homenagem à marquesinha formosa, mas numa noite de agouro o marquês perguntou naquela garganta doiro mandou gravar um final.
with this focus. Expand the PIDE. Basically the secret police. I'm hoping that eventually Delgado will coup me the further I go down some of these focuses. But I haven't played as Portugal before in Thousand Week Reich, so I don't know exactly. We'll find out.
Paixão querida, meu amor, meu paixão belo, hoje sempre minha filha, neste maldito castelo.
Okay. So I've gone farther enough doing this this focus. I'm gonna create an alternate save. Let's go back to April 21st. Okay, so the press shall remain free. I'm going to liberalize the country. We'll continue freedom of the press, and we'll see what happens. Now, during this Let's Play, I just did some research, and I believe the Delgado coup has to do... I just did a quick little search on Reddit, and I believe that the Delgado coup is tied into the Angolan War, and there's a timer, and I think if I don't defeat the Angolan rebels by a certain point, there's a coup. But anyways, we'll see what happens. But first, I'm going to liberalize the Portuguese Republic and the government of the Portuguese Republic. Now, as for the Angolan War, it usually happens like a couple years into the game. So I'll either get Olden Roberto or what's the other guy's name? Oh, Agostinho Neto, I believe his name is. The leader of the Angolan Communist Party. So one of those two factions will revolt, and that will be the start of the Angolan War. But it usually happens around 1955-ish, so it happens a couple years into the game. In the meantime, the Portuguese colonies in Africa are surrounded by the British colonies. The British Dominion of South Africa, or the Union of South Africa, and the Belgian Congo. All of which are tied to the Toronto Accord, except for South Africa, which is a part of the British Commonwealth, but is not a part of the Toronto Accord, unlike the other dominions like Canada, South Africa, and New Zealand. But I'm going to go with this focus. As free as in free England. So Portugal's oldest ally, going back to the 14th century, is the United Kingdom. So it only makes sense that Portugal would join the Toronto Accord. Okay, what's going on in the Far East? Okay, Syngman Rhee is still president of Korea. Japan is still occupied, and the Malayan emergency is going on. And there's still a revolt in Dutch Indonesia, or the Dutch East Indies. Okay. Let's go with the Luso-Tropicalist doctrine. And, I've kind of neglected reading some of these focuses. I'll start with the Colonial Status Report of 1952. Portugal's empire is among the oldest in the world. Going back to 1415, might I add. Though diminished, it still stands tall with the other colonial powers. Our colonies of Angola and Mozambique are restless, however. The government has requested a full review and status report of our colonial holdings in Africa, to determine their future role in close cooperation with the homeland. So this focus, the Luso-Tropicalist doctrine. Let's read it. Portuguese colonialism is a mostly humane affair. Unlike the other European powers who have committed barbarous acts to retain their footholds, we have treated the natives with as much respect as they deserve. Any who say otherwise seek to bring Portugal and her empire down. So this gives us a new focus, a Luso-Tropicalism focus. And it looks like there's a war in Central Asia. Interesting. Let's read this one. God, Homeland, Family. Antonio de Oliveira Salazar has defended Portugal and its empire for 20 years now. It was he who kept Portugal safe from the machinations of the British and German empires, and it was he who will continue to oversee and safeguard Portugal for years to come. The Estado Novo will not fail. Well, it will, but that'll happen later. Okay, continue. Freedom of the press. Over the years, the Estado Novo regime has seen fit to liberalize somewhat, though still under the watchful eye of our government. The continued liberalization and greater freedoms to the press will surely be appreciated by our population, hopefully placating some of the more dissident voices. And now there's this focus. Okay, I just finished that focus. Let's read this one. As free as in free England, the Portuguese people are proud of our republican system, and rightfully so. Though our early years were troublesome, now the Estado Novo have secured our republican heritage. The people shall be told that they have the same liberties and freedoms as our British compatriots. Britain has an empire and a democracy. Why can't Portugal have the same? And now we're going to go with... Okay, I think this focus might start the Angolan Civil War, but let's go with this one. Expand the African Criollos population. The Criollos in our African colonies make up a huge percentage of our colonial population. Let's start the focus, first of all. Okay, let's go back to reading this. Most Criollos are loyal to the Portuguese flag. Therefore, efforts should be made to expand and develop this population. A new generation of local loyal citizens shall be bred who will see Lisbon as the capital, not a mud pit in the middle of nowhere. Interesting. And there's our Luso-Tropicalism focus. Let me just update. Looks like there's been a revolution in the Arab Federal Republic. Or, it was the United Kingdoms of Arabia, or something like that, before the coup. Well, that's not good. Bad things are happening in Quebec at the moment. And there's a civil war in Greece. Let's continue. Let's do some more research. I'll just make it random. Doesn't really matter. Italian intervention in Greece. Well, that's not good. Sino-Vietnamese War. German intervention in Greece. The plot thickens. Might as well... I'll go with battle fleet designer, light aircraft designer, infantry equipment designer. Just fill up these slots with whatever. Oh. Christo Lukov maintains power. Well, that's disappointing. Okay, let's go with correct overseas media. Let's read this focus. Certain Western media stations, especially in the United States, have criticized our continued presence in Africa. We say to them, however, could they be more... Okay. Ethiopian uprising. Interesting. Alright, let's get back to reading this. We say to them, however, could they be more hypocritical? Did the United States not seize Spanish colonial possessions for themselves? And does the British Empire not continue to waddle on to an uncertain future? We must ensure that they see Portuguese colonialism for what it is, a humane and just project, bringing civilization to a desolate and dark continent. Now, I believe if the Delgado coup happens, Angola will be lost. but I think it'll be lost. But Portugal will keep its other colonies, I think? Or they might be able to keep Angola. I don't know. I think they lose it, though. But we'll see in just a bit. Hang on.
Sim, senhor. Pronto para avançar.
Let me fix this.
Ordens.
Yeah, that unit's supposed to be in the colonies. Oh, there's a coup in
Sim,
Perm.
senhor.
Let's look at that. Interesting. Okay, so I want the Angolan rebellion to trigger. Okay, anti-terrorism campaign in Angola. The so-called freedom fighters are causing mass terror and destruction throughout our Angolan colony. These terrorists should be hunted down to a man and slaughtered. It is men like these that give credit to those who criticize the idea of lusotropicalism. Okay, before I take that focus, I'm gonna just save the game. Military coup in the USSR, and Vasily Choikov is now the premier of the USSR, or the Perm Soviet government. Alright. Franco has been assassinated after the Spanish defeat in the Moroccan War. And the Ethiopian rebellion has gone somewhat differently than the Moroccan one. The Ethiopian rebels have been defeated, sadly enough. I think I'm going to put these soldiers in... I can't put them in the colonies. I'll just put this thing... Offers from Italy. What's this? Envoys have arrived from Rome, offering various proposals for working together with the instability that the continent's hegemon Germany faces. First, they are offering us a place in a planned future Mediterranean Union and economic bloc of states in the Mediterranean to enhance trade and economic cooperation. In addition, Rome invites us to the military alliance, the Mediterranean Pact. How shall we respond? Your range of options is potentially limited by your ideology and other factors. Refuse all proposals, with the economic proposals accept military and economic alignment. Okay. No. I'll refuse. I don't have any plans on joining Italy's faction. Let's continue.
Pronto para avançar.
I need to build some towed artillery and support equipment, so... Just do that. Looks like Greater Syria has gone to war with Israel and Palestine. Or the, Confederation of Israel-Palestine, to be more specific. Okay, the Angolan Security Act. Okay. The growing unrest in our Angolan colony has started to become a major issue and has halted most, if not all, Angolan development projects in the region. The two major parties involved in this unrest are the UNPA and the PCA. The UNPA, United People of Northern Angola, has waged a small guerrilla war against the Portuguese armed forces since 1950. Representing the interests of the Bakongo people living in northern Angola, their war has brought a major halt to the stability in Cabinda and the northern ports of Angola. Several government sources seem to think that the German Empire could be involved in supporting the autocratic group in northern Angola. However, these accusations remain without proof. The CPI, on the other hand, has been quite silent, preferring a subversive campaign against the Portuguese colonists. They've spread rumors and propaganda, fueling the flame of African nationalism and anti-colonialist Marxism in the Angolan colony. Their campaign, however, has been spread thin across Angola, and their power is thus less concentrated than the UPNA. The Security Act proposed by the Colonial Ministry should gift the colonial administration of Angola temporary power to combat the issue. The main problem with the proposal is that the colony can only focus its resources on one issue due to the scale of the groups involved. I'll focus on the UPNA. Doesn't really matter which one I pick, but I'll just go with them. Okay, I think... I'm gonna go with Plan for Popular Education. Portugal is not the empire it once was, but we still persist. The economic downturns of the last 3 decades have seen our education sector take a massive hit. With the economy growing ever more stable, a new and rejuvenated program for education may be proposed. Okay, let's go. Let me deploy some more soldiers, or to be more specific, these armored divisions.
Sim, senhor! Sim, senhor!
France has joined the British Commonwealth. Interesting. I'm going to enshrine Portuguese rights. The Portuguese peoples who have upheld the Estado Novo for so long deserve the basic human rights any decent person. Okay, interesting. The Iberian Pact has dissolved. I'll read that in a moment. Deserve the basic human rights any decent person who lives on this planet seeks. Salazar still promises to uphold these rights. Now and forever, a new age for Portugal is approaching. Okay. Dissolution of the Iberian Pact. Shocking news from Madrid and Lisbon have confirmed the official dissolution of the Iberian Pact, signed in 1939 during the last stage of the Spanish Civil War. The Iberian Pact was a pact of mutual defense between Portugal and Spain in the event of foreign intervention disturbing the balance in Iberia. However, it recently fell into a downward spiral of vetoed reforms, preventing it from progressing. The clearly angered Spanish government and Portuguese government have thus decided to formally disband the pact and end all joint operations, in the hopes of finally bringing diplomatic peace between the nations and ending the burden that the pact brought. Ciao, Spain. Let's see. I'm going to trade some steel with the U.S. Okay, we no longer have a non-aggression pact with Spain. And Spain has joined the Mediterranean bloc, oddly enough. Or the Mediterranean Pact, I should say. Turkey has intervened in Syria. I'm going to go with investing colonial education. In time, we will need to give our colonies greater autonomy and relinquish most of its internal matters to local colonial population. However, if this is to happen,
Execute the office of President of the United States. Will to the best of my ability. And will to the best of my ability.
Douglas
protect,
MacArthur
and
has
defend
become
the Constitution.
the President of the United States of America. Okay. Continue reading this. However, if this is to happen, a massive reform of the education sector in our colonies must be undertaken quickly. What's going on? Oh, looks like there's a bit of a...
Vamos, avancem!
Looks like India has decided to invade Goa. Over 8 years earlier than in real life.
Apontar!
Okay. Don't think they'll be able to hold out.
Soldado na trincheira, passa de uma topeira, vive debaixo do chão.
Defeat in Goa. The Indian army managed to push our men back to the port and force them to leave. We have lost our colony in Asia. Our colonial empire isn't the most stable nowadays. Okay, we lost Goa. But it's not the end of the world.
Sim, senhor!
Chegar a hora de ele arrancar
Pronto, senhor!
And I think that division was destroyed.
Seus olhos são duas brasas, as roupeiras ganham asas, como as águias lá da serra. Rastejamos
Alright, let's go for first overseas development plan.
pela terra de ninguém.
Our colonies have the potential to raise Portugal's standing in the eyes of the world powers. The lands under Portugal's banner are ripe with resources. Okay, he's dead. Let's deal with that later. The lands under Portugal's banner are ripe with resources. We should improve our administrative capabilities to better make use of these resources. In time, we shall reap the rewards, and the empire will grow ever stronger.
A bandeira nacional
Let me do some more research.
e na campa
Let me just
de
pause.
soldado. Só quero o nome gravado, o nome de Portugal. Soldados da nossa terra são voluntários da guerra que vêm bater-se por brio. Raça de fogo e de glória que escreveu a nossa história dos mundos que descobriu. Por isso a pátria distante brilha em nós a cada instante como a luz de uma candeia que arde de noite e de dia no altar da Virgem
Alright,
Maria.
Spain has liberalized, and the Third Spanish Republic has been born, although it doesn't make much sense for them to be allied with the Italian-led Mediterranean bloc anymore, but maybe they'll leave.
Mas cá dentro o pensamento corre mais alto que o vento quando para nossa mãe. E se eu morrer
Alright, wars are breaking out all over Europe at the moment.
só quero ter por mortalha a bandeira nacional. E na campa de soldado só quero o nome gravado, o nome de Portugal.
Hang on.
Seja breve ou prolongado, ai, todo fado, ai requer. Fado
Yeah, I'll just go with Combined Operations Doctrine. It's fine.
é uma
Doesn't really matter.
cantiga qualquer. Mal de amor que nos contrista, solto ai faz menos mal.
E não queira ser fadista, e não queira ser fadista, quem não queira acreditar. Como de avançado ao fado amargurado, é que um ai sai da garganta que se canta, e porque de um ai que sai, o alívio que se tem, ai, só quem
Atenção!
I'm going to soften colonial relations. Though the Portuguese people do not... Okay, though the Portuguese people need not know it, sometimes we are required to use somewhat brutal force to retain our position in Africa. However, it's becoming apparent we are facing an increasingly hostile populace. Perhaps a lighter touch may bring the population in line.
É melhor que ela não saiba, pois de tudo troça e rir. Para que
Let me assign some more factories to build things, or to build yeah, I'll just assign some more factories for production to build more weapons of war. So yeah, I just did that. My plan was to have the German Civil War start, so if it doesn't, I'm going to have to load up the game again. Or load up another previous save file. But we'll see what happens. Okay, Canada has become a republic. Interesting. Alright. Colonial Congress. The issues our colonial nation faces have become unbearable for the Lisbon government. Thus, Salazar has made the decision to meet with all colonial governments in Porto to discuss the future of Portugal's colonial empire. Several big issues will be talked about during this Congress, such as the complete economic ruin Timor has found itself in, the civil unrest present in Angola and Mozambique, the neglection of Portuguese Guinea. With all colonial governors around the table, we will finally be able to discuss the future plans of development and administrative progression this month, and hopefully bring an end to the bad situation across the seas. Get to vent the issue of Portuguese Timor. Let's talk colonies. Okay, let's do this. I'll go for urbanize Silva Porto. Silva Porto is an important administrative settlement located practically in the center of our Angolan colony. The settlement's strategically valuable position should be taken advantage of and urbanized in full. Though we should maybe leave its slave-related past away from prying eyes. Issue of Portuguese Timor. Since the end of the Second World War, East Timor has experienced total economic ruins due to the Japanese invasion of the island. The Battle of Timor has cost many Portuguese and native lives and has devastated the former colonial economy of the island. While the building the colony has been going on for almost 7 years now, the economy still remains a shadow of its former self, and many do not expect the island nation to recover in this decade, unless Portugal involves itself in the rebuilding process of the colony. Opponents have warned Salazar for the corrupt sinkhole, as many suspect that the money Lisbon will send will end up in the hands of the local government for personal expenses. A small faction of these opponents have even started to promote the idea of a Portuguese Timorese Commonwealth, integrating Timor fully into the Portuguese Lisbon administration as to dodge the issue of corruption. You will not see a single escudo from us. Lisbon has to support its tropical brother, entertain the idea of the Commonwealth integration proposal. I'm going to save right here. I'll go with the Commonwealth. I'll just go with the Commonwealth proposal and see what happens. Unrest in Angola and Mozambique. Okay, the German Civil War has begun. The administration of the colonies of Portuguese Angola and Mozambique have recently been flooded with reports on civil unrest. Reports on border raids organized by the UPNA and PCA have become commonplace, as both organizations are able to effectively operate outside of Angola and in the border regions of the Belgian Congo and British Rhodesia. Another issue is the civil unrest among the mostly Iberian natives, a group which has now organized itself under several native unions against European exploitation. Labor protests and guerrilla warfare have become as normal as the daily cup of coffee one may enjoy after waking up in Angola. As the Portuguese military continues to be divided, lacking any coordination between the three main branches, the colonial government has thus asked Lisbon for a tremendous amount of cash to deal with the developing problem. Okay, we have to secure our colonies. We lost a lot of political power. The neglection of Portuguese Guinea. The colony of Portuguese Guinea has been poor backwater, even for colonial standards, with its colonial government being one of the poorest in our empire. Guinea's economy is completely based on agriculture, exporting peanuts and vegetable oil to Lisbon, accounting for 1/3 of our needs. While several paternalistic governors have tried to develop the colony, little to no infrastructure has made any actual development impossible. It probably should be little to no infrastructure has made any actual development possible. An upsurge in the sleeping sickness has also endangered the population of the colony, as healthcare is far from a basic right in Guinea. It's unknown if the population of 500,000 will even be able to sustain its current economy, as shortages have become too usual for the colony. The colonial governor, Sarmento Rodrigues, has been adamant about asking Lisbon for the development support Guinea needs, citing that Guinea's neglection has gone too far, and we'll go with Guinea will not be forgotten. Okay. Okay. All I did was use console commands to have the Third Spanish Republic leave the Mediterranean Pact, as it makes no sense for them, now that they're a democratic nation and a republic, to be allied to fascist Italy. Okay, America has intervened in the German Civil War. Now, I think I might get, as Portugal, I might get an event. Oh, that's not good. Hang on. This means that, let me just, okay.
O soldado na trincheira não passa uma topeira, vive debaixo do chão. Só pode ter a alegria de espreitar a luz do dia pela boca de um canhão. Mas quando chegar a hora de ele arrancar por aí fora, ao som da marcha de guerra, seus olhos são
Okay. I redid all that. Now, what I have to do is make sure that there's no compromise between the emergency Verstadt and the Greater German Reich. Let me see. Now, as Portugal, after the German Civil War, after America enters the German Civil War, or intervenes in the German Civil War, I might get an event asking to join the Toronto Accord, and I will accept. Okay, no German compromise. Is there? No, there hasn't been. There has not been. Let's just save. Go away. Let's just do this. Okay, let's go. Okay, there's now a rebellion in Poland. That's good. I'll go with the public knows peace. Though few in number and purely annoying in nature, it cannot be denied that the resistance is growing. The Portuguese public still need not know of these issues. They will see a prosperous colony with a happy population. They cannot know the true state of things. That focus, where America will ask Portugal to join the Toronto Accord, is somewhere here. Yeah, it's right here. It's right here. I don't know if the AI is going to go down that part of the focus tree, though, so who knows?
Pronto para avançar.
Okay, this is interesting. Eduardo Gomez has overthrown the Brazilian government of Getúlio Vargas. Interesting. SS control in Denmark. Under Werner Best. I've never seen that happen before. That's not good. But they will eventually be liberated. SS Ordenstadt, Denmark. Interesting. British-inspired democracy. The Anglo-Portuguese alliance is the oldest in the world, and British democracy is also an old system which survived the test of time. Though monarchy, we should look to the British democratic system to inspire our own. I'll go with this. Interesting. Just looking at the different countries of Eastern Europe at the moment. A lot of interesting things happening. Oh, and looks like the Americans are landing in Belgium and the Netherlands. And the Belgians and the Dutch are helping out in the liberation of the Low Countries. That's very good. The Madeira meeting. The United States is an ever-growing power in the world, being the de facto leader of the Toronto Accord. The time has come to enter into closer diplomatic relations with the land of the free. Okay, this might be a step closer towards joining the Toronto Accord. Alright, what will come of this meeting, I wonder? Guess I could go with the second Azores lease. The islands of the Azores are of immense strategic value to whoever owns it. In the 1940s, under immense pressure from the British and Americans, we leased these islands for use as air bases to deter German U-boat aggression. It seems the Toronto Court are very interested in using the islands again as a threat, as the threat of a renewed war with Germany increases. Well, it's already happening, so yeah. Still waiting for that war with Angola to break out. Quebec votes for independence. Interesting. And they are part of the Toronto Accord, but not a part of the British Commonwealth.